What's going on there guys, CG Gaming here and I'm bringing you another Destiny 2 weapon review video. Today we're going to be looking at the revamped Graviton Lance and how its recent buff has made it possibly one of the best exotic guns out today. But before we dive into the nitty gritty parts, be sure to smack that subscribe button just below this video for more Destiny 2 content. Now, Graviton Lance is an exotic energy pulse rifle that's been in the game since Destiny 2 was released. You can get the gun from a few different sources. After completing the original non-DLC Destiny 2 campaign mission 10 called Sacrilege, you get a choice of 3 weapons. You can either pick the Sunshot, Risk Runner or Graviton Lance. You can also find the gun in exotic engrams and it can also be purchased from Xur if he's selling it in that week. The gun itself looks really cool with the light effects on the side of it, especially when you slap on that particle accelerator ornament. It just gives it a nice futuristic bright white look to it. Or even you can put on the latest ornament called Carina Nebula, which gives it like a darker blue sort of element look to it. The gun had massive potential from the start, but unfortunately the gun just didn't live up to the expectations that it originally had. Originally, the gun fired in a 3-bullet burst, with the first 2 bullets having very little impact, while the third has a high impact but with no fall off, thanks to the black hole perk. The issue here was that the damage basically balances itself out, so it just hits like a normal pulse rifle, which doesn't make it really feel that exotically now, does it? This would have been okay if the perk cosmology would do what it was intended to do. Yes, once you kill an enemy, they do explode like the perk states, but the idea behind this is to cause damage to other enemies around them, so you can clear groups quicker. But cosmology just didn't do it properly. It actually made it sort of push the enemy backwards, so when they exploded, it would be out of range of other enemies, leaving them unaffected by the explosion, rendering the gun in my eyes completely useless for the perks that it was advertised for. But boy, has that all changed now. Since the Warmind DLC dropped, a lot of exotics have had massive changes and buffs to them, and the buff that Graviton Lance received has literally been a game changer for it. Let's go over the changes that Bungie has made to the weapon. The guys at the Bungie studio released the following statement. To target the first pain point, we reduced the recoil of the burst, added in some aim assist and changed it from 3 rounds to 2. This still plays into the fantasy of a low damage gravity neutralizing round forming a projectile tunnel for the last bullet. It also allows us to ensure the damage per burst is at a competitive level for PvP engagement. In fact, it gives Graviton a slight mathematical edge against other pulse rifles. On the second feedback item, we did some tuning to the ragdoll body. We made it so that rather than violently flying backwards and likely out of range of a potential splash damage opportunity, the defeated opponent floats back and up. Then we made the explosions bigger, increased the damage and added some void-filled projectiles that seek out any remaining targets. Now, what Bungie has stated and what they've done, it has completely changed how the gun plays in both PvE and PvP. Now that enemies float back and up once defeated before exploding, means that they're going to be in range of other enemies, so their explosions is actually going to do some damage to them. But what's even better is those void-filled projectiles that seek out any remaining targets. Those projectiles act like mini Nova bombs and do incredible damage as well. And on another plus side, you don't even have to get critical hits for the perk to activate. If they die from the wrath of the gun, then the perk activates. And another thing to note, if the enemy dies from the projectiles, they also explode and the perk activates again, so it has the potential to chain and wipe out massive crowds of enemies just by killing one enemy. It's a massive change that was well needed, and it's now so useful in clearing out packs of enemies in PvE content, shooting the utility side of the gun right up there in terms of performance. The second change of going from a 3-round burst to a 2-round burst, along with the gun's overall stability being increased, makes the gun feel a lot more like a scout rifle than a pulse rifle, which really helps push the gun's general performance over a standard pulse rifle. There's less mistakes to be made when getting in that last shot for the black hole perk to activate, which is another huge improvement. They've also made some fine tuning to it as well. Like I said before, the overall stability has been increased, along with the recoil being reduced on its final round in a burst and improved aim assist. The gun also does incredibly well in PvP as far as I can tell anyway. Granted, you do need to get in those crit hits to really take full advantage of this weapon, which I know you could probably say that about any gun, but with this gun it just makes a huge difference because the time to kill still feels relatively high when getting in body shots compared to other weapons, so just making sure that you get those crit hits in really does make this weapon shine in PvP, and a lot of people have been complaining that it's a bit OP, but obviously on the forums you're gonna get that quite a lot. But I don't think any changes should be made because the gun is where it needs to be at now. Overall, the new changes that this gun has received has been a complete game changer for it, and it actually feels like an exotic gun now. Those mini Nova bombs from killing enemies just makes taking out groups so much more easier and much more satisfying. I'll be using this gun as one of my main weapons in PvE and for PvP for sure, because I do believe it's one of the greatest guns in the game right now. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. Do you think that the changes to Graviton Lance was a much needed and positive change, or do you think that it was a bad move to give it such an incredible buff? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful, then hitting that like button is much appreciated, and while you're down there, you may as well just hit that subscribe button to show your support and turn on notifications to keep up to date with all my videos. Alright guys, have an awesome day, and I'll see you all in the next video.